They eyed us thick with dust and anticipation. It's October 1 Street, 331 BC. On one side, Alexander the Great, with his seasoned Macedonian army of 47,000 men, stands ready. On the other, a colossal force looms, Darius III, the King of Kings, commanding an army estimated at a staggering 250,000 soldiers, maybe more. This is Gaugamela. This isn't just a battle. It's the collision of two worlds, the ultimate showdown for control of the Persian Empire. Darius chose this battlefield carefully, a wide, flat plain near modern-day Mosul in Iraq. He even had his engineers level the ground to give his secret weapon the sized chariots a perfect runway to tear through Alexander's infantry. He had everything, overwhelming numbers, home field advantage, and the plan he believed was foolproof. For Alexander, the odds were astronomical. His men were thousands of miles from home, outnumbered at least 5 to 1. A single mistake, a moment of hesitation, and his legendary campaign would end right here, swallowed by the sands of Mesopotamia. But Alexander wasn't just any commander. He was a military genius, a master of strategy and psychology. The night before the battle, while the Persian camp was a hive of nervous activity, with soldiers kept awake by the fear of a surprise night attack, Alexander's camp was quiet. He ordered his men to eat, to rest. He himself, according to historians, slept soundly. He knew the battle would be won not just with swords and spears, but with courage, discipline, and a mind that could see opportunities where others only saw doom. As dawn breaks, the two armies face each other. The Persian line is immense, stretching for miles. In the center, Darius himself, surrounded by his elite guard, the immortals, and the finest cavalry from across his vast empire. Flanking them are infantry from every corner of Persia, from India to Sicily. And of course, the terrifying Sicid chariots, positioned at the front, ready to unleash chaos. Alexander's formation is a masterpiece of tactical innovation. He knows a frontal assault against that massive line is suicide. So, he arranges his army in a way that's almost baffling to the Persians. He advances not straight ahead, but diagonally, at an oblique angle, moving towards the right flank of the Persian army. His best troops, the companion cavalry, are led by him personally on the far right. His left flank, commanded by his most trusted general, Parmenion, is angled back, a defensive anchor designed to hold against the inevitable Persian onslaught. This strange diagonal movement confuses Darius. Is Alexander trying to outflank his enormous line? Is he running away? Darius can't afford to let Alexander slip past his left wing. He orders his cavalry on that flank, led by the satrap Bessus, to ride out and intercept Alexander's advance. This is the moment Alexander has been waiting for. He has baited the trap. As the Persian cavalry on the left wing surges forward to meet Alexander, they begin to separate from the main Persian battle line. A gap starts to open. It's small at first, but with every yet the cavalry charges, the gap widens. This is Alexander's target. He's not fighting the whole Persian army at once. He's creating a weak point, a single spot to deliver a decisive blow. But before he can strike, Darius unleashes his super weapon. The signal is given, and the decisive chariots thunder forward. These were the tanks of the ancient world, designed to create pure terror. With long blades extending from their wheels, they were meant to slice through infantry formations, breaking their ranks and their morale. Against a standard army, this would have been devastating. But Alexander's men are not a standard army. They've been trained for this exact moment. As the chariots bear down on them, the front ranks of the Macedonian infantry suddenly open up. They create channels, funnels within their formation. The chariot drivers, unable to steer their speeding death machines, are channeled harmlessly through the gaps to the rear of the army, where they are easily picked off by the Serfa troops. The terrifying charge ends not with a bang, but with a whimper. The first of Darius' gambles has failed. Now, with the chariots neutralized and the Persian left-wing cavalry engaged far out on the flank, Alexander sees his chance. The gap near the Persian center, right next to Darius' personal position, is Sir. He wheels his companion cavalry, forming them into a giant wedge. It's the decisive moment of the battle. He's no more longer fighting or maneuvering. This is the all-in charge. With a cry to his men, Alexander leads the charge himself, spearheading the cavalry wedge directly at the gap. It's an act of incredible bravery and tactical brilliance. He isn't just attacking the enemy line. He's aiming directly for the king. In ancient warfare, the king was the head of the army. If the king falls or flees, the army's morale shatters. Alexander knows this. He is a missile aimed at the heart of the Persian Empire. The impact is shattering. The elite Macedonian horsemen, the finest cavalry in the world, crash into the less armored infantry guarding the Persian center. The wedge formation is brutally effective, splitting the line and carving a path of destruction. For a moment, there is chaos. The personal guards of Darius, the immortals, fight with desperate courage to protect their king. The fighting around Darius' chariot becomes a vortex of violence. And then, it happens. Darius, the king of kings, sees Alexander the Great, covered in dust and blood, cutting his way closer and closer. He sees his elite guards falling. He sees his line breaking. And in that moment, his nerve breaks too. Darius turns his chariot and flees the battlefield. The effect is instantaneous and catastrophic for the Persian army. The wood spreads like wildfire. The king has fled. The center of the Persian line, which had been holding firm just moments before, completely dissolves. Soldiers throw down their weapons and run, their will to fight gone along with their leader. A massive rout begins, but the battle is far from over for Alexander. While he has achieved his primary objective, his left flank, under the command of the old, steady General Parmenion, is in deep trouble. Parmenion's forces are being overwhelmed by the sheer numbers of the Persian light-wing cavalry, led by Mazaeus. They have pushed deep, even managing to raid the Macedonian camp. Parmenion sends an urgent message to Alexander. He needs help, or the left wing will collapse. Here, Alexander faces a critical choice. Does he pursue the fleeing Darius, a chase that could capture the king and end the war in a single day? Or does he turn back to save his army, risking Darius' escape? For Alexander, the choice is clear. An army is more valuable than a king. His loyalty is to his men. He reluctantly abandons the pursuit of Darius and wheels his victorious companion cavalry around to smash into the rear of the Persian light wing that is attacking Parmenion. Caught between Parmenion's phalanx in the front and Alexander's hammer blow from the rear, the Persian light wing is crushed. The battle turns from a fight into a slaughter. What was once the most powerful army in the world is now a terrified mob, fleeing for their lives, hunted down by the victorious Macedonians. By the end of the day, the plain of Gaugamela is a scene of unimaginable carnage. Ancient sources give incredible casualty figures, with Persian losses in the tens of thousands, while Macedonian losses were numbered only in the hundreds. While these numbers might be exaggerated, the result was undeniable. It was one of the most one-sided and decisive victories in military history. Alexander had faced an army more than 5 times his size, on ground chosen by his enemy, and he had utterly annihilated it. He did it not just with brute force, but with superior strategy, discipline, and the sheer audacity to lead from the front, charging directly at the enemy king. The Battle of Gaugamela wasn't just a victory, it was the final nail in the coffin of the Achaemenid Persian Empire. After this, the great cities of Babylon and Susa opened their gates to Alexander. While Darius would leave Tiran for a few more months before being assassinated by his own men, his power was broken forever on that dusty plain. Alexander was no more longer just a king of Macedon. He was the undisputed master of Asia, the new king of kings. Thank you for watching this deep dive into the Battle of Gaugamela. If you enjoyed this breakdown of epic history, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to ClipZone High Octane Hits, and ring the bell so you never miss our next journey into the past. Let us know in the comments which historical battle you'd like to see us cover next. See you in the next one.